Baltimore City 911 1215. What's the address of the emergency?
Hi, yes, we're at a clinic on 2117 Maryland Ave. There's a man here with a gun.
Shots fired.
It was shortly after 7 o'clock in the morning. A call came out for an armed person in Baltimore. I had just worked the midnight shift. Day work had asked me to stay over for a little bit because they were short-staffed. So I jumped back in my truck, started heading towards the methadone clinic. Shortly after getting there, I parked about a block away. So I ran a half a block, slowed down, got my composure, walked up to the front of the clinic. There was an officer there, Officer Chris Miller. I looked at Chris, I said,
"Okay, active shooting."
He said there's a guy inside shooting. We would learn a short time later that shortly before we got there, he walked right up to a medical worker, shot that person twice in the chest immediately.
They're in our building and they have hostages here.
Hostages, okay.
The person has 3 nurses in the back that he's not letting leave.
The type of equipment that I had was superior firepower than what Chris had. So I told Chris
Let me go first.
to let the heavier firepower go before him. We went into the building. We started searching for the suspect. We were told what area of the building he was in. We located him within probably 30 seconds. We were negotiating with him to drop his weapon. We could see the weapon that he had.
Put the gun down! I'm just waiting for someone.
He began shooting at us. We returned fire. During the multiple exchange of gunfire, I was struck in the abdomen.
I'm hitting the stomach.
Officer down, shots fired, officer down.
The suspect was struck. We ended up incapacitating him. Chris, not knowing whether the suspect was fully incapacitated or not, stepped up, dragged me out of the methadone clinic. You know, I'm running this checklist in my head. I know what's gonna happen. I even told the medics, I said, let's get to trauma. My niece, Jamie, is a dispatcher, and unbeknownst to me, she was working that day.
Signal 13, 741 North Grantley South. I was supposed to be on an H day, and I decided to come in for overtime. I almost canceled my overtime because I was tired. And I heard the first shooting call dispatched, and then the second call.
All right, I've gotten the police started out there.
I heard my uncle.
All right, watch going up to the building, okay, if he's holding people.
And a couple minutes later, I saw his radio key up on my radio screen, and there was no sound. They gave out the sequence number of the officer. And I already knew in my gut that he had been shot. I know the way he is, and he would be the first one in. When I got to shock trauma, I sat down for a minute, and then I went up to the desk, and I asked the lady at the desk if she could just tell me if he was alive. Could she just please answer that one question for me? That's all I needed to know. I didn't need to know anything more than that. Around 3 in the afternoon, we were allowed to go up and see him after he got out of surgery. In the next couple days, he was able to be extubated and became stronger, and after about a week, he was released from the hospital.
Recovery was very slow. You know, abdominal wounds are tricky because I did have a lot of injury. You know, you think you're healing and then there's a setback. I got very good support from a combat psychologist. Knowing they're available, it is very relaxing, to be quite frank, knowing that if I needed to have something or if I needed to drop a phone call to somebody, if I were in a crisis situation, that I could make the phone call and that somebody's there immediately.
I was back at work and I thought that I was handling things okay. Everything had calmed down, and then another sergeant was shot in my district and while I was working. And that's when the panic attacks started, and I needed to speak to somebody about it. I knew at that point it was not something that I could handle on my own. It is very important to reach out for help when you need help, because eventually it will catch up to you and you will not be able to help other people if you can't help yourself.
I'm not shy to talk about what had happened to me. You know, we did a good thing that day with what had happened to me and the other officers. It's traumatic what happens in a shooting. It really is. And sometimes You shoulder it, and sometimes you don't. And when you don't, it tears you up, and you need somebody to talk to. I may not be 100%, but I can still do my job, you know, and I still have a lot to offer. As a lieutenant, I want to be the lieutenant that I wanted to have, you know. I want a young officer to look at me and say, that's the guy that I want leading me. So that's what I want to be.